In ancient Greece, Apollo bestowed the gift of prophecy upon Cassandra with a touch to her temples, her eyes flashing with newfound power. This gift bore a terrible curse. No one would believe her predictions. Like a modern whistleblower silenced by skepticism, Cassandra's warnings fell on deaf ears. The Trojans initially dismissed her visions as madness, their laughter echoing through the streets. As Troy's fall loomed, Cassandra's voice grew more urgent, her prophecies more dire. Today, we'll examine this mythological tale through a contemporary lens, exploring themes of justice, power dynamics, and the consequences of dismissing uncomfortable truths. In the realm of Greek mythology, Apollo stands as a multifaceted deity, embodying the power of prophecy, music, and healing. As the son of Zeus and Leto, Apollo's influence extended far beyond the mortal world, shaping the course of human destiny through his divine gifts. His radiant presence in the pantheon of Olympian gods was marked by a complex interplay of benevolence and retribution, a duality that would come to define his interactions with both mortals and fellow deities. Apollo's connection to prophecy was perhaps his most renowned attribute, manifesting most prominently through the Oracle of Delphi. This sacred site, nestled in the slopes of Mount Parnassus, became the epicenter of prophetic wisdom in the ancient Greek world. Pilgrims from across the Mediterranean would journey to Delphi, seeking guidance on matters ranging from personal dilemmas to affairs of state. The Pythia, Apollo's chosen priestess, would enter a trance-like state and deliver cryptic messages believed to be the god's own words. The concept of prophecy held immense significance in ancient Greek culture, serving as a bridge between the mortal and divine realms. It was through prophecy that the gods communicated their will to humans, offering glimpses into a future otherwise veiled from mortal eyes. This power, however, was not without its perils. The ability to foresee future events often brought with it a heavy burden, as demonstrated by the tragic tales of figures like Cassandra. Apollo's relationships with mortals were characterized by a mix of favor and fury. While he could bestow great gifts upon those who pleased him, he was equally capable of exacting terrible punishments on those who incurred his wrath. His love affairs with mortal women often ended in tragedy, a pattern that would be reflected in his encounter with Cassandra. Yet, despite the potential for disaster, many mortals sought Apollo's favor, drawn by the allure of divine knowledge and power. As Apollo approached Cassandra, his intentions were shrouded in mystery. Was he motivated by genuine affection, a desire to elevate human understanding, or perhaps a more complex interplay of divine whims? The implications of his choice would resonate far beyond the walls of Troy, setting in motion a chain of events that would challenge the very foundations of the relationship between gods and mortals. Within the walls of Troy, a city teetering on the brink of war, lived Cassandra, a princess whose beauty rivaled Aphrodite herself. Daughter of King Priam and Queen Hecuba, she embodied royal grace and intelligence, qualities highly prized in ancient Greek society. Yet these attributes would ultimately contribute to her tragic fate. As a princess of Troy, Cassandra's life was shaped by expectations. Her beauty attracted countless suitors, a constant reminder of her role in the political alliances governing the ancient world. The looming threat of war with Greek forces cast a shadow over Troy, making Cassandra's potential marriage even more significant for forging crucial alliances. However, Cassandra's role extended beyond that of a political pawn. Her intelligence and perceptiveness hinted at a destiny challenging the established norms of her time. As war clouds gathered, she found herself caught between royal expectations and the stirrings of a greater purpose. It was in this atmosphere that Apollo, the god of prophecy, set his sights on Cassandra. Their encounter would prove pivotal for Troy's fate. Apollo offered Cassandra the gift of prophecy, which she accepted, driven by a desire to protect her people. Yet her gift became a curse when she refused Apollo's advances. The enraged god ensured that while Cassandra could see the future, no one would believe her prophecies. As the Greek poet Aeschylus wrote in Agamemnon, she was inspired with prophecy, but no one put faith in her words. Cassandra's most famous unheeded warning came as Troy celebrated the arrival of a giant wooden horse, left by the Greeks as a supposed gift. She desperately tried to convince her people of the impending doom, but her words fell on deaf ears. As Troy fell, Cassandra's tragedy reached its zenith. The princess who had foreseen it all could only watch in anguish as her beloved city burned, her unheeded warnings echoing in the flames of destruction. Her plight serves as a timeless reminder of the consequences of ignoring those who see beyond the present. What if a god's gift was a carefully crafted trap? For Cassandra, the allure of divine power collided with the weight of unforeseen consequences. As we examine the nature of Apollo's offering, we'll uncover the hidden complexities of celestial favors and the steep price of foresight in the realm of the gods. The gift of prophecy bestowed upon Cassandra by Apollo, granted her the ability to peer beyond the veil of time, glimpsing the threads of fate that wove the tapestry of the future. This power, coveted by mortals and gods alike, promised to elevate Cassandra's status beyond that of a mere princess. However, the initial elation soon gave way to a growing unease as Cassandra grappled with visions of events yet to unfold. The ethical implications of Apollo's actions raise profound questions about divine justice and the abuse of power. Did Apollo have the right to manipulate a mortal's life so drastically? Or was his gift a violation of human autonomy? These questions challenge our understanding of free will and divine intervention in Greek mythology. Cassandra's predicament illustrates the complex power dynamics between gods and mortals. Apollo's offer was not merely a gift, but a manipulation, seeking to possess the affection of a mortal through extraordinary power. When Cassandra rejected his romantic advances, Apollo's response transformed her gift into a curse, revealing the capricious nature of divine favor. The Cassandra myth has significantly influenced literature and popular culture, serving as a powerful metaphor for unheeded warnings and the frustration of possessing knowledge that others refuse to believe. It prompts us to consider, how do we determine truth in a world of conflicting information and beliefs? As we reflect on Cassandra's story, we're compelled to examine our own lives. How often do we dismiss warnings or insights that challenge our comfortable worldviews? The myth invites us to consider the value of diverse perspectives and the courage required to speak truth to power, even when facing disbelief or ridicule. In conclusion, Cassandra's tale serves as a timeless reminder of the complexities of truth, power, and belief. As you go about your day, consider, what Cassandras might exist in our modern world? And how can we create a society more open to hearing uncomfortable truths? Cassandra's prophetic gift became a cruel burden, isolating her from those she sought to protect. As her visions of Troy's impending doom intensified, she faced rejection and disbelief at every turn. Her family, once proud of her divine connection, now regarded her with unease and skepticism. The Trojan court, blinded by hubris, dismissed Cassandra's warnings as the ravings of a disturbed mind. Her attempts to share prophecies were met with confusion and concern, leaving her trapped in a nightmare of her own making. Queen Hecuba, who had once doted on her talented daughter, now looked at her with pity and doubt. King Priam, despite his love for Cassandra, ultimately disregarded her warnings, further alienating her from her family. As tensions in Troy escalated, Cassandra's prophecies grew more urgent and specific. She foresaw the Greek fleet's arrival, the Trojan horse deception, and the city's ultimate fall. Yet her words were met with increasing skepticism and derision. The Trojans, celebrating their perceived triumph, had no patience for the dire predictions of a princess they now viewed as unstable. The psychological impact of possessing unbelievable knowledge devastated Cassandra. She experienced intense helplessness and despair, watching Troy inch closer to destruction while being powerless to alter its course. The weight of her foresight caused her to withdraw from social interactions, retreating into isolation. Cassandra's standing within Troy deteriorated rapidly. Once a respected princess and potential diplomatic bride, she now found herself shunned and avoided. The court whispered about her madness, and suitors kept their distance. Even her siblings, who had once admired her, now regarded her with fear and embarrassment. As war loomed, Cassandra's isolation deepened. She watched in dread as Troy's leaders made decisions aligning with her visions of doom. The arrival of Paris with Helen, the refusal to return her to the Greeks, and the dismissal of diplomatic efforts unfolded as she had foreseen, yet she remained unable to intervene. In her most significant prophecy, Cassandra described the fall of Troy in vivid detail. Greek soldiers hidden within the wooden horse, the nighttime assault, and the brutal sacking to follow. She begged her father and the Trojan elders to refuse the horse and prepare for battle, but her pleas were in vain, drowned out by the celebrations of a people convinced of their victory. The Trojan horse loomed at the gates of Troy, a seemingly innocuous gift concealing destruction. As dawn approached, the city stood unaware of the impending catastrophe that would alter history. Greek forces had laid siege to Troy, ships dotting the horizon. The once vibrant city was engulfed in chaos, its inhabitants torn between celebration and trepidation. The Trojans, buoyed by perceived victory, ignored desperate warnings echoing through their streets. Cassandra stood at the center, eyes wild with foresight. Her pleas to refuse the horse fell on deaf ears. Each dismissed warning drove her further into isolation, the emotional toll of unheeded prophecies weighing heavily. Troy's leaders' decision-making was marred by hubris and skepticism. King Priam and his advisors, intoxicated by triumph's prospect, dismissed Cassandra's warnings as madness. Their pride blinded them to the danger within their walls. As night fell, the city celebrated, dragging the wooden horse through streets. Cassandra watched in horror as her prophecies unfolded. Revelers danced, oblivious to impending doom. In early morning, Greek soldiers emerged from the horse. Troy's defenses crumbled before the swift, merciless onslaught, catching Trojans off guard. Troy's fall was catastrophic and sudden. Greeks unleashed fury upon the populace. Streets once filled with laughter ran red. King Priam and Queen Hecuba perished amidst chaos. Cassandra, worst fears realized, witnessed her home's destruction and people's slaughter. Her prophetic gift had become a curse, isolating her from those she sought to protect. Troy's tragedy serves as a reminder of dismissing uncomfortable truths. The city's fall resulted from unchecked pride and willful ignorance. By refusing to acknowledge defeat's possibility, Trojans sealed their fate, hubris becoming their destruction's instrument. As the ashes of Troy smoldered, a profound question emerged from the ruins. Was Apollo's curse on Cassandra an act of divine justice, or an abuse of celestial power? This dilemma forces us to confront the nature of the gods and their relationship with mortals in Greek mythology. The concept of divine justice in ancient Greek religion is a complex tapestry, interwoven with themes of fate and free will. Apollo's actions towards Cassandra exemplify this intricacy, challenging our understanding of godly wisdom and mortal autonomy. The god's initial bestowal of prophetic abilities upon Cassandra was an act of unprecedented favor. However, his subsequent curse, which doomed her prophecies to be disbelieved, raises ethical questions about the responsibilities of gods towards mortals and the implications of their actions on human lives. Scholarly debates on justice in ancient Greek religion often highlight the arbitrary nature of divine retribution. Apollo's curse on Cassandra can be interpreted as an abuse of power, as he wielded his divine authority to impose a punishment rather than seeking a more equitable resolution to their conflict. This mirrors other instances in Greek mythology where gods use their powers capriciously, such as the tale of Niobe, who boasted of her children and was punished by Apollo and Artemis. The ethical implications of a god punishing a mortal for exercising free will are significant in this myth. Cassandra's rejection of Apollo's advances can be seen as an assertion of her autonomy, yet it resulted in severe repercussions that extended far beyond her personal fate. This prompts discussions about the nature of consent and power dynamics in divine-human interactions. Examining the long-term consequences of Apollo's actions reveals a tragedy that extends beyond Cassandra herself. The curse not only affected her personally, but also had far-reaching implications for the entire city of Troy. By ensuring that her warnings would go unheeded, Apollo indirectly contributed to the downfall of an entire civilization. This raises questions about the extent of divine responsibility, and whether gods should be held accountable for the cascading effects of their actions on mortal affairs. When viewed through the lens of tragic irony, Apollo's gift-turned-curse reflects the complexities of divine-mortal relationships in Greek mythology. The god of prophecy, in his attempt to punish Cassandra, inadvertently created a scenario where his own domain, truth and foresight, became a source of suffering. This paradox invites a nuanced perspective on the nature of justice and the responsibilities of the gods, challenging us to consider whether absolute power, even in the hands of gods, can ever truly be wielded justly. The tale of Apollo and Cassandra resonates in our modern world, where warnings about critical issues often face skepticism. Climate scientists, public health experts, and economic analysts frequently find their warnings dismissed, despite potential consequences. This parallel invites reflection on truth and the responsibility of knowledge. In a world inundated with information, discerning fact from fiction is challenging. Cassandra's story reminds us to listen to diverse voices, even when they challenge our preconceptions. As we navigate complex global issues, this myth urges us to consider the consequences of dismissing uncomfortable truths and question our biases and the power structures influencing which voices we heed.